Overwhelmed by his wrath, Radicar has undergone a terrifying transformation. The bestial monster within has come to consume the vampire almost entirely, and he now fights with raw and brutal fury, his ferocious howls ringing through the night. That's right, welcome to Winter Disco Tabletop Gaming. In this video, we're going to be unboxing and building Radicar the Beast. And oh boy, this might be one of my favourite models of the year. We're only halfway through, but it is amazing. It is still sitting on my desk because it is so good. So much detail, so easy to build. So let's get into it. So you're getting 2 sprues in this box, and a nice instruction manual that's shiny, and a base. So I wanted to show a lot of close-ups here because there's so much detail, so much armor, like the veins on his arm is just amazing. Lots of scars and tattoos, lots of furs and everything, so it's going to be so much fun to paint. I'm really excited to actually paint this. So instructions wise, it's pretty straightforward. There's lots of bits, a little fiddly at times. It's very much like a 3D jigsaw puzzle, I guess you could say. It has that feel where things just lock in together, and when it locks in, it's really nice. So the instructions actually say to build Radicar first, but I thought I'd build the base, that we can sit him on top. It's really nice. The base is very straightforward. Definitely involves a lot of dry fitting pieces together. I found that definitely helped. And you just look at that base. Skulls everywhere. Just so much detail. So that little bit there, the 2 bits, there's a bit of a log and it glues together. It's a little weird to see, but you can see there's the 2 cylinders that lock together. A little bit of pushing around to get it in place, but then it's fine. And you can see it lines up there with those 2 bits. So it has this giant cavity in there, which feels odd when you're putting it together, but it makes sense when you look at the instructions because you're putting some more trees on top. This is a little fiddly, it doesn't fit exactly right, but with a bit of pressure holding it there for a bit, the glue will weld the plastic together and it'll sit together fine. Now we get to put his first giant foot in and we start to see the shape of the tree. So there's a little nub here and a little socket hole that this will just slide into, and whoever cut this model together or cut it out and put it on the sprue, bit of a genius to be honest in my opinion. There's really no seam lines you really have to worry about. Everything is cut in a way that just goes together, like I was saying, like a jigsaw puzzle. And you can see that bit goes there, that bit locks on too. There's these 2 little like hinges in there that just completely just put it on there. And I almost dropped it, but I did find a little bit, there's a little mold marking that you should cut out. And it's time to put the beast together himself. Seriously, generally pretty simple. I've got the part numbers on the screen, but definitely follow the instructions. It's really straightforward. The pieces are really big, but there are a few little things. Definitely cut off all the little mold marks. There's, like I said, there's not many sprue lines at all, or mold lines. There's some bits that are difficult to cut out from the sprue itself, so it was pretty easy in just like having a lot of stuff out. This part I really wanted to talk about. I could not for the life of me get this part in until it just went in, and then it just went in all the time. So you can see here, you put it together and then it sort of slides in and then becomes like a lock. A little odd, but it almost stays together. You do need glue, but it felt like it was just going to sit there anyway. The same thing with the arm. There is a little bit to cut off, it was just a little bit too much. And then it seems to fit in. And you can see there's like a little square thing on his arm, and there's a little nub that locks into. So after fiddling around, it eventually went in there, and I felt that I had to move the front of the body up to slide it underneath. And there's a little bit of blood that's dripping off his finger, which I knocked, and it's really difficult. Again, this puzzle piece, it's like a puzzle. It just locked right in and was great. Same with this bit. There's like a locking joint for it, and it just goes on. I just thought I'd just tap it, just go, yeah, it's not gonna move. Super simple. I just wanted to show the fur off. Time to stick the more hairy bits on. We're getting into the last bit of his body now. So again, there's a few mold marks there to cut off, but I really wanted to make sure that they were fine, so I gave him a bit of a file down. And yes, cutting towards my hand, not good. So this wolf head had a little bit of problems going in, but again, once it locked in, it was fine. And I just wanted to show this bit of armor off. This is the bit that sold me on the kit. I just love that detail. So much attention to detail on the armor, the fur, the skin, like there's giant veins on his arms that you can kind of see in that shot. It's crazy. There's just so much detail there. Again, that bit locks in. You have to push it in and it just sits there. We'll take a little bit of green stuff to fix up particularly that wolf pelt face. So this is another arm that didn't quite work properly. It was going in, but it didn't seem to fit in there. I had problems with it. So eventually I just got some glue out and just put some glue in there, welded the plastic together, because you won't even see that bit. And finally, the big man's face. Yeah, you can just see like the bulk of that model. And overall, like relatively cheap for that price. I think it was like $100 Australian. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, so I'm in love with the model. So good. Lots of lines you want to fill up with green stuff though. That's a downside. Time to build the Vikos Bloodborne. Tiny little vampires, they're super cute. I'm only going to build one of them because they're both the same. You got a body, a leg, an arm, and a head. So I didn't bother filming the second one. So I just thought I'd show the instructions too. Again, just plug it in, stick it on. Really simple, really not difficult at all. These bits do have a lot more mold lines, more sprue joints, whatever you want to call them, sprue markings. And because they are really thin and fiddly, I felt like, I'll cut them off as best I can and then go in and cut the sprue marks off. You can see how small it is and just how delicate you have to be, like they're tiny little legs. And you notice they don't have feet, but the feet are built into the base, and we'll see that when we glue them on. So you can see his foot matches a big hole on the tree. Like seriously, that's it. You put that in, and then his foot that we already put on the base, lock that in. I recommend holding it until, if you're using plastic glue, until the glue has melted the plastic and welded it together. Because I did find he did fall off a few times, so just holding him in, getting a lot of pressure there just to get him glued in. And a little dab on the feet for the Vikos. Stick that one in. So from this point on, it's going to be difficult to see what's actually going on. So I'm sticking the Vikos' other hand in because they're reaching out with a goblet of blood that's dripping off Radicar. This was a little fiddly. It's probably one of the fiddliest bits, simply because of the parts are so small and it's really difficult to get in there. And of course film. But you can stick it on. There's a little gap in Radicar's hand that the blood will go into and then stay on. And then I just decided to use a knife just to move things around, and nothing had really welded in place yet, so you could move the models around, it'll just all go together. So sticking the other Vikos Bloodborne in, exactly the same. I really love the diorama aspect of this model. You have the two Vikos down below reaching out for the blood that's dripping off Radicar. I think it's really nice. And finally a nice, just a little touch there. It's a sword and it just slots in, little glue and sticks in there. So there we go, Radicar the Beast and two little offsiders. This model is beautiful. It really is. There's so much detail in there, just even down to the Vikos and their weapons, the blood dripping off his hand, all the various different armor. all the organic material on the base, and the wolf pelts. Seriously, such a good model. Highly recommend it. And if you do want to get it, check the description below. There's a link to Element Games. You can get it for about 15% off. So if you have got this far, thank you for watching. Hit that like button because it really does help the algorithm and getting this video out there. So that's all from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.